Hi, everyone. So very exciting news. We finally get to work on the absolute last category on my list. It's the top 30 out of my top 100 movies. I do just want to quickly, before we get started in earnest, say that at the end of the last video, I mentioned the movie Alien, which was number 31 on my list. And I did show you my DVD collection of it, but I can't believe I completely forgot to show you guys all this other stuff that I had and I just forgot to show you. So of course, my husband has a t-shirt. Look at that. He is wild for xenomorphs, as evidenced by all the different iterations he has in action figure form. And there's the queen. Look at that. Now, the last thing that I will leave you with regarding Alien is this. So for those of you who don't know, my husband is a motorcycle enthusiast. He's ridden motorcycles for decades. At this point, he recently got a new one. You may have seen a video on the channel recently. That motorcycle is one that he just has been wanting for a long time, but also it bears a striking resemblance to the freighter ship that the original cast was in the original Alien movie. That freighter was called the Nostromo, and for that reason, we have named our motorcycle the Nostromo. Guys, I'm only joking halfway when I say this. It's the only reason I let him get the motorcycle. I'm kidding. I am. Okay, so we'll leave that. We're finally done with all that other part of the list. We're going to just move forward to the next last category, the top 30. If I had to categorize these, I guess what I would call them is films that, unlike the rest of them on the list, I have to periodically watch these movies. If I just go too long without watching them, it starts to hurt, and I just have to find them and watch them. I just have to. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 30 is Tombstone from 1993. Now, this is not the only movie like made with this kind of subject matter, but this one is my favorite. It has the casting and the performances that just make me happy. Kurt Russell is an actor who I love and adore, and his performance really is top notch, but I'm gonna have to give it to Val Kilmer on this one. He just steals the show. It's charming, it's funny. He just does so much with the role, and it's just hard not to love him. But also notably, Dana Delaney, Bill Paxton, Sam Elliott are all in it. They all do remarkable jobs, but I mean, it's Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer for me, and Val Kilmer is at the top of that list. So moving on, number 29 is Pulp Fiction from 1994. This is the first Quentin Tarantino film that I was exposed to, and it just happened at an age that admittedly was probably too young to be watching a movie like this, but at an age that just made a huge impression on me. So to this day, it's just a film that like I love, and I particularly am fond of the way that Quentin Tarantino gave John Travolta a chance to kind of like reinvigorate his career with this role. And I mean, he did an amazing job, but that's always something that's going to be very near and dear to me. Anyway, moving on. Number 28 is That Thing You Do. This is a 1996 film written and directed by Tom Hanks. It was actually his directorial and writing debut. Has a lovely, charming cast, an incredible soundtrack, a funny, happy, like lovely story. I couldn't be more of a fan of this film. Tom Everett Scott, Jonathan Schaech, Ethan Embry, and Steve Zahn play the band that the movie is about. Liv Tyler is also in it. Of course, she's gorgeous and delightful in it. It is just one of those films that like it makes me happy in so many ways, and I just absolutely love watching it. So if you've never seen it, do yourself a favor. This one is like anyone can enjoy this film. It is so sweet and happy. Okay. Excuse me, moving on to number 27 is Kill Bill Volume 1. This is from 2003. it was a little like, I felt a little funny putting two Quentin Tarantino films so close to each other on the list and so high up on the list both. But I mean, it's Quentin Tarantino. It's kind of hard, I think, not to do that. In particular, I chose Volume 1. I really do think of Volume 1 and 2 as being the same film. But I mean, it is its own movie. So I just went ahead and picked Volume 1 because I just feel like it's the one that I do kind of have more fun with. I always watch them together when I watch them. I really don't ever just pick one or the other, but it's probably the one that I kind of like feel a little bit more. Okay, moving on to number 26, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Now, here's my husband's, of course, almost required at this point, Arnold Schwarzenegger t-shirt. He is a massive Arnold fan. We're all big fans of Terminator. I actually had a hard time with this one because I originally picked part 2 because I was like, obviously that one's the more action-packed, fun one. But I gotta tell you, I recently watched the original Terminator and I was like, I think I might need to change it on my list. I just noticed that and it's because I'm just getting old and crotchety, but as I'm getting older, the second one, like Edward Furlong's performance just annoys me. And I know that's the way the character was written. And I know because he's playing a whatever 12, 13-year-old boy, he's actually doing an awesome job because that's what that age group is just like. But it annoys me. And part 1, just, you know, that Michael Biehn, Linda Hamilton chemistry and just the story so gripping. And oh, I really had a hard time. But at the end of the day, part 2 is just traditionally the one that I've had more fun watching. And then of course, Robert Patrick's performance like totally steals it. So, and then of course there's like the technical achievements. So at the end of the day, I did go ahead and keep part 2, Judgment Day, as my pick, but know that it caused me some heartache. Okay, moving on to number 25, which is The Matrix from 1999. What I will say about this movie more so than anything else is that it just, when it came out, it was completely revolutionary. A lot of these films, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, in this part of the category were. Pulp Fiction also falls under that category of just being kind of revolutionary when it came out. But The Matrix, in particular, was able to sort of put on film this notion that I had always just kind of had in the back of my mind, but didn't know how to put into words. So I really appreciate it for that. But of course, the technical achievement and the way that it like just visually is so striking, all of it worked really well. That first Matrix is definitely the one that I would put on my list 100 times over any of the other sequels. I can enjoy them. It's mostly because of my OCD need to like complete the cycle, but it is that first one, definitely 100%. Okay, so number 24, speaking of, again, like groundbreaking technological achievements, The Nightmare Before Christmas, 1993. Little known, I mean, I think it's like halfway known at this point. Fact is that it does say Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas on there, but Tim Burton, in fact, did not direct this film. That credit goes to Henry Selick. But it was Tim Burton's concept. And the biggest thing about this film, I mean, yes, it is a beautiful technological achievement and like visually it is incredible. But at the end of the day, it's not so different from other things that Tim Burton has put out. The thing that really always brings me back to this is those voice performances. Catherine O'Hara is incredible. Chris Sarandon, Danny Elfman did the music, but he also did the singing voice for Jack Skellington. Not the speaking voice, but he did do the singing, and oh, I love it. And then, of course, Paul Rubens is. Let's not forget Paul Rubens. He's in it. He's incredible. Okay, let's move on to number 23, which is Interview with the Vampire, the 1994 Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Antonio Banderas version. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Dracula had me. Interview with the Vampire had me. When I was a kid, I am going to go ahead and just say the word kid here. You could not find me without seeing one of these novels under my arm. I was just constantly reading them. The whole gothic 90s vampire thing, I just was partial to it. What can I tell you? So this is no different. I really, really love this movie. Anytime that it's on, I'm just like entranced by it. And every once in a while, I just feel the need to pull it up and start watching it again. So big fan. But of course, it's a vampire film. So if that's an issue, don't even go there, because it's 100% a vampire film. Okay, moving on to number 22. Oh gosh. So I'm sorry, guys. We're so high up on the list that maybe you thought they were all going to be bangers at this point. They're not. We're going to have an occasional film that just screams to my kitschy sensibilities. And number 22 is Demolition Man, 1994. So this film is a Sylvester Stallone vehicle. Wesley Snipes is also in it, and to incredible, in fact, effect. And Sandra Bullock is also in it. There's some other notable names in the film, but basically those are the three main characters. They all do an awesome job. The movie is absolutely just a popcorn romp action film, but it just has so many things that it plucks from the like dark dystopian novels that I love and am frequently terrified of, that I can't not love it. Like there's just too many little Easter eggs and too many little things in it that like speak to my sensibilities. So it is a huge, I don't want to say guilty pleasure, but it's definitely one that like I absolutely love and adore it. And the fact that it is this high on my list tells you a little something about where my priorities are. Okay, so moving on to number 21, that is going to be Back to the Future Part 2. All right, why did I pick Part 2? I between Part 1 and Part 2, like saying which one I love most is an utter impossibility. But I will say this: Part 2 did everything that Part 1 did right, and then introduced a whole bunch of new things that made the whole time conversation even better, without overwhelming its audience. And I think that this is a sequel where I can pick Part 2, and it very well does a very good job of representing my equal love for Part 1. So at the end of the day, that's why I picked Part 2, but I absolutely love this whole trilogy. Yes, even Part 3, but it's all about Part 1 and Part 2 for me. So I just went with Part 2 because I do feel like it's the one that does a really good job of encompassing Part 1 and Part 2 basically equally for me. Okay, I will do one more and then we're going to have to finish it off. So number 20 is In the Mood for Love from the year 2000. Another Wong Kar-wai movie. This is another one that is part of that trilogy that I mentioned in a previous video. Again, Tony Leung is kind of like the connecting fabric of my version of this trilogy, but this one also has Maggie Cheung, and it is such a beautiful, moving, heartbreaking story. The music is incredible, of course, the cinematography, and it's beautiful. So highly recommend if you have not ever gone the Wong Kar-wai route. I will go ahead and stop there. We have been going for far too long. I will pick it up next time at number 19. It'll be the top 9. I guess I shouldn't have done number 20 in this film. The top 19 films for next time. I don't know if I'll do all 19 in one video, but we'll at least be working on that top 19 in the list. So as usual, guys, thank you so much. I do appreciate you spending this time with me. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and just be safe.